I'm a third-year second social behavior major, hoping to double major with art history, and I am running to become next year's president. In my 2 years of being on board, there has not been a president. At this point, many people probably have the idea that a president isn't needed, that we are a close-knit club that will be able to function well without a president. Going into an exec position, I also believe this. I had the confidence that as IVP, I would be able to lead the clubs and we would be fine. Truthfully, I found myself struggling with juggling both the responsibilities of president and IVP, and also just being an exec member and student and person in general. Because of this, I want to run for president. I want to ease the stress of other exec members and give the opportunity to focus on their goals and their responsibilities solely on their positions. This is important to me because I truly believe that for a club to function well, there needs to be a solid foundation and impasse that starts with the leadership, from exec to appointed to appropriated to interns, and to even our gen members who choose to actively participate. If I were to become president, I'm confident that I will be an unwavering and purposeful leader, that I can provide a solid foundation needed in order for board members to accomplish their goals, general members to find a community, and for this club to flourish. If I were to become president, I have several ideas on things we could improve on or see in the upcoming year. One idea is to combine the duties of certain board positions. For example, this year we combined admin and academics into one position, and I think CJ is doing real well in that. I think we could do something similar to other board positions as well. Some examples are maybe community and social FVP with certain admin duties. The possibilities are endless. For this idea, it also depends on who applies for what appointed position, and I would also want to take into account the opinions of the people holding those positions this year, as well as the upcoming exec board. When appointed board applications come out, I think it's important to think of how we would be able to work effectively rather than prioritizing filling up every board position. In my 2 years of being on board, I have experience working with a smaller board and an almost complete board. But both have been amazing teams to work with, and the experiences has been like one of my greatest memories in PASS. Because of this, I think the amount of board members is unrelated to how well a board functions. Moreover, I'm confident that I have the leadership skills and experience to be a strong support and guidance to any amount of board members. And if needed, I'll be more than willing to take on more workload as stated for president in the PASS Constitution. Another idea I have is to create committees for major events or projects, for example, camp or retreat. I think we could maybe create like logistic committees, food committees, speaker recruit committees. We could also have a yearbook committee and maybe open these to general members who want to be more involved but don't actually have the time to be part of the shadow program, be an intern, or even meet up one-on-one to discuss like their interest in certain board positions. Again, for this idea, I would want to communicate with the people directly involved in these events and people who have previously held these positions. A third idea I have is revolving the always present issue of expanding our club and retaining general members. One small solution to this is possibly hosting a social during week 0 after anteater involvement fair, just so PASS doesn't slip the minds from people amongst all the other things that happen during Welcome Week. Another small solution to this is to have first gen meeting be solely a bonfire or social event, just so people could get to know each other and get a feel of the people in PASS. In turn, we could have our week 2 meeting be a PASS info night, which is usually dedicated just to passage programs. Or we could even interchange those first 2 meetings and have week 1 be the info night or week 2 be like the social. I think that sometimes PASS is so used to following a timeline that we forget we can change it up, do things differently if it's more effective and beneficial that way. The next idea I have is something more I would personally want to see, especially seeing as I will be graduating next year. I would like to see more guest speakers in meetings such as the flocked one we had just last week. I think it was interesting learning more about a specific profession, the different ways you could utilize one degree, and just getting a more in-depth perspective. Usually in conferences such as CAP or PAPS, the focus is on the journey. How did they get to the place they are at now? So to me, the flock panel was impactful because it was more focused. Looking at the demographics of PASS, many of us will be 3rd or 4th years next year. So I think we could all have more insight on career pathways as well as hands-on practice on strengthening our networking skills. As a board member, it's important to consider ways for our PASS to improve, but it's also important that we grow as individuals in the process. I personally enjoy and excel at the behind-the-scenes aspects of being a board member, such as the logistics and planning events. And I think that sometimes I find myself more comfortable settling into that role as well. However, if I were to become president, I would want to work on public speaking, socializing, and being comfortable in-house. There are times when I doubt myself, my work, or my instincts, and as president, I would want to work on being assertive and confident in my abilities, and to know that I do not need any validation because I do have the capabilities of being a good leader. And I think that's important to set an example like that to future leaders as well, even if you're not on board, an intern, if you're just a general member as well. Overall, I want to become president because I truly do enjoy the 3 years spent with this club. And as someone who's graduating, why wouldn't I want to spend another year with a club that it means so much to me, the people who mean the most to me on this campus. Although there has been difficulties along the way, the thing that helps me get through it is the people in PASS. I enjoy spending time with our general members outside of PASS events, such as sending memes to each other, attending farmers markets, running into each other at UTC. I've met a lot of genuine friends in PASS and want to continue meeting more people through PASS and to continue providing for the people of PASS. Thank you for listening to my platform.
At this point, if anybody in the audience would like to start off with any questions. So we actually have some questions prepared. The first one is, you talked about graduating next year. What do you hope to leave behind?
I hope to leave behind the way PASS is now, meaning the integrity and compassion that PASS has and the people have for it. I think in my 3 years of being actively involved in PASS, there has been a lot of change in general members and who attends events consistently. But what hasn't changed is the way that we are a community still and that we are a family still. So I think that no matter what, that's the most important thing about PASS, and that's what makes it special, and that's what I would want to make sure is still present for future members of PASS, even the year after I graduate and for more years to come.
So there are many types of leaders, such as transactional and transformational. Which type of leader would you identify as and why?
I would say my leadership style is, I think because I am introverted, I tend to take the perspective of many people. And I think that's really important to do, especially working with board and being in a club like PASS, because it is very personal to a lot of people, even though we do try to create that line between professionalism and personal. I think that sometimes, as a board member, you put in a lot of work into PASS. 2 days out of your week is already spent with PASS, and that's not including the days and time and hours you're putting into hosting a social, planning retreat, creating a graphic, whatever it is you do. So I think that perspective is really important in understanding each other and knowing the type of people in PASS. There's never any ill intentions from any board member. So I think it's, when there is conflict, it's important to consider the other person's perspective. And I know it's the whole discussion over impact over intention. And I think everyone's intentions for PASS is very true and in a loving way. So I think that when considering conflicts and how people got to certain decisions, I think trying to understand the other person's perspective is very important. And I think that's one thing I've really tried to understand when working with such a large board, and even our interns as well.
What would you gather is the greatest takeaway that you have gotten from PASS?
The greatest.
What is one thing PASS has taught?
I think PASS has taught me to become just a good person in general, because personally, the person I was coming into UCI was very different from the person I am today. And my growth throughout my years in UCI, a lot of it has to do with the people I've met through PASS and the people I've chosen to associate with. So I think one thing I really learned from PASS is that you have the power to associate with who you want to be, and that's extremely important, because the people you associate with is really helpful in your growth and the values you choose to treasure.
Thank you. We're going to open up to one question in the audience, and if there's not one, we have one last question for you. All right, Rima?
So there's going to be times on board when all of your board members feel discouraged. Some of them might feel discouraged. And there are times where it's very difficult for all of them in general, just with life as well, your responsibilities within and outside of the club. How would you encourage them to keep going? How would you encourage them to keep going?
I think one thing that I've seen this year being on exec team, so that's something I would want to do going into fall quarter and every quarter, just to constantly check in and see how they're doing. And I think it's also important to take breaks. So one thing that we did last year on board is bringing a cake to board meetings is really impactful, even if it's just something small. That's probably one of the greatest memories I had being on board my first year. And then taking breaks, as well as going on a small trip together, getting food, doing things like that. I think sometimes being on board, you forget that this isn't work. This is meaningful service. Even though it feels like a job, this isn't really a job. It's a meaningful service. And I think that we forget to enjoy it. So I think providing opportunities where you remember, hey, we're in this for each other. I think doing stuff like that is important.
All right.